Hi, I'm Jamie T, and you're watching What I Love. My most important record, it's hard to say, but off the top of my head, it's got to be Rancid. One of my favourite bands, Rancid, and their record Life Won't Wait was important. For me, when I was growing up, it had a good kind of variety of all the kind of styles they're really good at on it, and it was like 22 tracks long or something. And I always, I still listen to it a lot today. As a songwriter, I kind of always wanted to, it's a good album to listen to and try and work out how he wrote the songs. You know, Tim Armstrong's one of my favorite songwriters of all time, I think. It's hard to say. I mean, I like different acts for different reasons. You know, solo artist wise, I've always been a big fan of maybe Cat Power, and the likes of kind of Ryan Adams, a lot of the kind of folky stuff. I hate the word folk, but I kind of like those guys as singular artists, and then as bands, you know, for me it was always Rancid, The Clash, and Blur, and Beastie Boys, things like that, you know, were always important to me when I was growing up, and still are today, really. When you hear music when you're young, you know, and it kind of blows your mind a bit. I think a lot of those bands, the bands especially, kind of just blew my mind when I was young. Cat Power and Ryan Adams and people like that kind of were people I found a bit later, and kind of loved in a kind of very different way, a singular songwriter kind of a way, and kind of really inspiring stuff. I don't quite know why I like those guys so much, but I often find myself listening to them. The first record I bought was a vinyl, and it was a 7-inch, and it was from Asda, and it was Bryan Adams. Everything I Do for You. That was the first record I ever bought. I must have been quite young, yeah. And then past that, the first record that I bought and fell in love with was probably Blur, the Blur record called Self-Titled. I listened to quite a few records around then that kind of changed my perspective on things. Brand Van 3000 did an album called Glee, which I listened to a lot when I was younger. A lot. I don't know. At that age, when you're about, you know, in your early teens, I found that was a lot of music that I listened to that kind of just changed the way I thought of things. You know, the record I'm going to buy in the near future. Oh, I don't know. It hasn't got there yet. That's it. I tend to kind of try and stay on top of things and you know, see what news coming out. I only really buy records at the moment. I buy vinyl if I really like an album, or like it's an album from the past that I love that I don't own on vinyl. So I buy a lot of records that I already own, but I buy them, you know, for my collection or whatever. I don't know. That's a hard question. Who knows? At the moment, I can't get the Beatles out of my head. I keep listening to A Day in the Life by the Beatles, and it's stuck in my head, and it won't leave me alone. But I love it. I get that in my head a lot. There are a couple of songs that always seem to cut, you know, every morning I wake up and I always have like one of 5 or 6 songs in my head. Bruce Springsteen, Atlantic City, I have in my head all the time. It seems to kind of come back around. I can't remember the rest. There's a few artists that I've heard that I like. You know, I just found a band called Pinegrove, which I really liked. There's a kid called Rex OC over in the UK that I heard his demos and I thought they were really good. So there's a lot going on. I mean, it's about finding it. So I spend quite a lot of time kind of on the internet just trying to like find new stuff. Guilty pleasures. I don't really do guilty pleasures. I love all the music I listen to. I don't care what anyone else says. But I suppose people would say that a guilty pleasure would be Thin Lizzy, but I'd love Thin Lizzy. Always have. So I listen, that would probably be what people would consider a guilty pleasure, but I love them. I think they're amazing. I quite like Tom Waits' music videos. I think they're always quite interesting. All of his videos, or I don't know. Music videos are shit anyway. I mean, who fucking watches music videos? Let's go The Prodigy, Smack My Bitch Up. That's a good video. That's a really good video. Or Firestarter's a great video as well. I suppose it would have to be a Clash song. I suppose White Man and Hammersmith Palais by The Clash would probably be my favourite song of all time. Certainly the song that when I heard it, I thought I already knew it. Which I've talked to quite a few people, and they always say that about their favourite songs, like they already knew it before they heard it. I love that song. I don't listen to it very often because I like it so much. But it's got to be, it's a toe tapper, that's for sure.